What is happening? Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TeaTime podcast with me, Spirituality. I made a mistake by not scheduling this talk ahead of time, so it might take a couple minutes for people to show up. And remember that I'm doing a show tonight. Into the awkward part of the show where, as always, we're waiting for people to show up on stereo. I hope people remember to show up because I didn't schedule it beforehand. Whoops. Okay, we got someone here, so hopefully some more people will start showing up soon. But in the meantime, just some quick housekeeping items. I got a ton of orders from my shop. Holy crap. I think I'm up to like 42 orders, which is a lot for me. I have 24 candles to make, a bunch of black salt that I'm trying to package. My boyfriend tried calling me just then. It's like, hello, I'm in the middle of my show that I forgot to tell people to come to. So that's great. But yes, I do have lots of orders to catch up on. I promise. I will be working diligently to get those done. As out Wow, I can't even talk. I will also be working diligently to catch up on the bone throws. I know I've been a little bit behind on those, but I have been dealing with some chronic pain and illness these past couple days. Anyone else in the endometriosis gang, I'm sure you can understand. But I did get box bones, and I will be rehoming my coyote bones, and we will be able to resume with business as usual. I also want to say thank you to everyone who came to the show on Sunday for the Kenny special, who got to meet my non-witchy boyfriend. If you weren't able to tune into that show, you can listen to the recording here on stereo or on Patreon. That was a lot of fun, and I hope that he and I can do more fun projects like that in the future. So, what I'm going to do with this particular show, we're talking about practical witchcraft, right? So, how you can use witchcraft or tools of the craft in your day to day life, whether it's school or work or in your cooking or, throw in some broom closet tips or anything like that. Um, so, how I kind of organized this is I'm going to be talking about specific tools that you can use in your craft and how you can use them in different settings. So, if you guys have any questions throughout the show, please send them in. Or if you want to add to anything that I'm saying, or you have any practical witchcraft suggestions as we go throughout the show, please feel free to send in your messages. So the first tool that I want to talk about is sigils. And sigils are kind of hard to talk about in podcast form because I can't show it to you. And sigils are a very visual thing. Oh, wait. I got a question.
Hey, shout out to you. Shout out to you. How are ya? It's Flow God. We've never spoke, but dude, I think you're dope. I've listened to your shows before. Yeah, I'm a sensitive, sensitive, high level empath. I think one of my people were a sorcerer at some point. All of us have abilities.
That's what I'm doing. Thank you for, your love and support. And I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you enjoy my show. If you're not following me on TikTok, that's where my main content is. But I am also here every week. Oh, here we go again with the tomatoes. Okay, anyway. We're just gonna keep talking. So, as I said, sigils are kind of hard to talk about in a podcast because they're more of a visual thing, right? Um, So let's talk about what the definition of a sigil is. So a sigil is basically a symbol that represents a certain intent or whatever, but it is a symbol that you create yourself. Um, and you kind of get to assign its own meaning. You get to design it. It is something personal to you. I just got 2 messages, so let's see what we got.
Whoever's throwing the tomatoes, please stop. It makes it hard to focus on the show.
Right? Thank you. Like I'm trying to keep going, but it makes a noise and it's so annoying.
I would like to join your chat, dude. I got some very enthralling, spiritual, otherworldly information. Uh, quite like, yeah, amazing. Let me in, dude.
Yeah, if you ever, I have a specific topic in mind for this show, but if you ever want to, I'm open to having, other guests and co-hosts on my shows as well. So please, feel free to message me on social media. I'm on Instagram and Twitter under spirituality, spelled TEA because it's a pun. Um, and that is also what my TikTok is under. Um, so if you want to talk about, being a guest on the show sometime, definitely let me know. Um, and ooh, it looks like tomato person stopped. Knock on wood. So let's get back to talking about sigils. So yes, basically a sigil is a symbol representing a certain intent. Um, that you create yourself. And I'm sure you guys have seen sigils on Witch Talk and things like that. And I've posted videos on how I make sigils before. Um, but I could always make another one if you guys aren't sure how that works, how you can go about making your own sigil. Um, but as far as how you can go about using them in your daily life, this is probably one of the easiest things to use because all you need is a writing utensil. You can write sigils on yourself or on a sticky note or a piece of paper, or use an essential oil roll on and draw the sigil on your skin, and then it'll blend in and no one will even know. There's a million things that you can do with that. Um, if you want to, write a sigil for motivation and write it on your arm and cover it with your shirt and no one will see it, or like I said, with an essential oil roll on, or some people will put them in their phone case or in their shoes, so that they're walking on their intents. Um, they're so diverse. There's so many things that you can do with them. If you're a student, you can write them in your notebooks. If you're in the broom closet, you can write them and no one has to know what they mean. Or, like I said, if you use those like essential oil roll ons, no one will even see it. A lot of people will use their makeup. If they wear makeup, they'll like draw a sigil with their concealer and then blend it into their face, and no one even knows the wiser.
I actually tried creating my own for the first time, and I'm getting it tattooed this weekend. I liked it so much.
See, that's another thing you can do. You can get your sigils tattooed on you. So usually what I like to do is not everyone has to do this, but when I make sigils, I like to do I am statements. So like I am motivated, I am peaceful, I am prosperous, whatever. You guys don't have to do that. That's just kind of what I like to do. Um and then yes, sometimes I will use a pen or a marker and draw them on me. Sometimes, yeah, I'll put them on a piece of paper or I'll write it on a sticky note and put the sticky note on my laptop while working. Um I have an essential oil roll on for prosperity on my altar. And so I'll draw my prosperity sigil on my arm with the essential oil roll on and just kind of, be walking with intent every day.
Congrats on your tattoo, girl. I hope it turns out great.
I do too. Definitely let me know how it goes.
I have a question. Shows like The Craft, Motherland give me inspiration. Do you think that we could? Do you have your own coven? I guess I'm asking first thing, and then secondly, are you thinking about building up other people to help with the situations around the world? Because I don't think it should just be left up to the officials anymore. Not when there are higher powers at play, and we're just sitting around and they're looking like, well, you guys have the power. You guys aren't doing anything with it except for asking for your next $5 for a Starbucks or relationships or something.
I'm only
Not
getting
the
bits
end
and
all guy.
bits and pieces of
Just
this.
what's your thoughts on that word? Ooh, and do you know who Raven Antimony is? He does similar work with like custom sigils and stuff like that, and it is amazing. But I'd love to see your work too.
Okay, I was able to get that part. So yeah, I know that there are practitioners who will make custom sigils for you that are like full blown works of art. Like when I do them, they're very simple. they're very sloppy. They're just for personal use. They're not for anything really special or anything like that. I just kind of make them for me. However, there are people, I follow a few people on Instagram who will make sigils that, like I said, there it is a work of art. They're so detailed and so intricate. Um, some people it's digital art, and some people, they'll paint it on a huge canvas and send it to you. um, there's lots of really amazing artists out there who do sigil work, so that is another option. And if anyone asks, you'd be like, oh, it's just an abstract piece of art. No one has to know, especially if you're in the broom closet.
Thanks, guys. I'm excited. I did the sigil for I am confident because I'm always lacking in that area. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, confidence is a great attribute to use sigils with. Sigils can also help, yeah, they can help with pretty much any intent. They can help with a lot of, emotional regulation, with meditation. Um, and they're probably one of the most versatile things that you can use as far as using them in everyday life. They're very easy to use, they're easy to hide, they're easy to make. So, as far as using the craft in everyday life, like I said, whether it's school, work, whatever, you could even have a sigil for safe travels and put it in your car. The possibilities are literally endless when it comes to sigils. So that is definitely something that could be used in your everyday life. So the next thing that I want to talk about is everyone's favorite, crystals. I am slowly but surely forming an addiction to crystals. It's not healthy, but it's not going to stop anytime soon either. Um, Crystals are great because lots of people just use them for decoration. Lots of people just use them because they're pretty, and that is totally valid because you know what? They are pretty. They are fun. Who doesn't like a good rock, you know? um so when it comes to crystals, if you are in an environment where you're at work and you're allowed to decorate your cubicle, you can have a couple crystals, and if anyone asks, just say, oh, it's just for decoration. um or if you're like me, if you're a college student, I have crystals all over my dorm for various intents and purposes. um, I use them all the time. They're great to hold, they're great to meditate with. They're pretty. They're just nice to look at. Um, when I move in with my boyfriend, our apartment will be filled with crystals and it will be very pretty. Um, and yeah, if anyone asks, if you're in the broom closet and someone's asking you, why do you have these crystals? You don't have to say anything. You don't have to tell them that you work with crystals. You could just say, oh, I just think they're pretty. I just think that they're nice. They make nice decorations. Various.
I keep a tiger's eye in the dash of my car to help promote with safe travels, and I almost always carry a few crystals in my pockets.
Yeah, so that was another one that I wanted to talk about. Pocket-sized crystals. They make tumbles for a reason. You can keep. I know plenty of people who keep crystals in their car for safe travels or for protection. I carry crystals in my backpack to school every day. Just little small tumbles in my backpack for focus, for motivation, for energy, and things of that nature. I keep them in my purse. I put them in my pockets. And nowadays, it carry with you.
Just be sure, sorry, that's my dog. Just be sure to not wash crystals in your pant pockets. It broke my dryer when I left a piece of fluoride in there.
Oh no. Okay, well, yes, everyone remember to check your pockets when you go to wash your clothes that may have had crystals in them.
My mom actually got me a fidget necklace with a crap. It's a black crystal. I can't remember the name of it, unfortunately, but it's for protection. So it has a little fidget and it has the crystal hanging down. It's really really pretty.
Love that. Um, so yeah, there's lots of different uses for crystals, and really the easiest cop out is to say it's just for decoration. Now, let's say you are in the broom closet and you come from a really strict family who does think that if you have an amethyst on your desk, that must mean you're worshiping the devil. Well, have I got news for you? Regular rocks can be used just as fine as crystals can. If you go outside and you find a really cool rock, because who hasn't done that? Who hasn't just, been walking along doing their thing outside and you spot a rock and you're like, damn, that's a cool rock. If you want to bring that rock inside and make it your protection rock, that's your protection rock now. You can use any ordinary rock, and as long as you have the intent of this is going to do this thing, then it works just as well as any other crystal. You can draw sigils on your rocks, to amplify the intents that you assign to them. So if you are not in a position where you can have crystals either due to safety or due to financial reasons, because as we all know, once you start buying crystals, you don't stop. It just continues forever and ever, and it's an addiction, and your bank account hates it. You can go outside and just pick up a rock and be like, boom, this is going to be my happiness rock. And that's your happiness rock, as long as you have that intention. So crystals and rocks are another great thing that you can use in your regular day-to-day life. This doesn't technically count as a crystal, but Himalayan salt lamps are very mainstream nowadays. Um, and that's a great way that you can use as a way to like cleanse your space. Or, because of Himalayan salt lamps being popular, there are lots of other lamps that are coming into popularity, like selenite lamps are becoming really popular, and I'm sure that those will be mainstream soon too. So those are things that you can probably get away with putting in your office space or your dorm or your bedroom or whatever the case might be, just to add some witchy vibes into your atmosphere. It helps cleanse your space and, get rid of some general negativity, and they look nice. They look pretty. And that's always the best cop out to use is, oh, it just looks nice. Oh, it just looks pretty.
Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt, but with Himalayan salt lamps, please be really careful if you have pets. Because if they start licking them, they can't stop, kind of like how we'll eat potato chips. But it'll dehydrate them and cause a lot of harm to them. So if you get a Himalayan salt lamp, keep it out of reach of your pet.
That's a very good message. I did not know that, but yeah, it makes sense. Um, I remember seeing a girl on TikTok being like, I'm trying to lick my Himalayan salt lamp until I get to the center of it like a Tootsie Pop or something like that. But I could definitely see, your dog or your cat getting into it too. So make sure if you have fur babies, if you get a Himalayan salt lamp and, maybe even a selenite lamp too, just keep those things out of reach of your fur babies.
Also, Himalayan salt lamps will sweat.
Yes. So, yeah, they sweat. So basically, it's exactly what it sounds like. They get wet and it drips. And I remember my boyfriend has 2 Himalayan salt lamps. And I remember like waking up in the bedroom one day and the Himalayan salt lamp that we had on the shelf just had like a puddle underneath of it. I'm like, where the fuck did this come from? It sweats. That's such a weird phenomenon. Ah.
Yeah, really any type of crystal. I have a cat that likes to jump up on my altar and lick my crystals. Specifically my pyrite. That's concerning. That's not good. So just be aware of not just the lamps.
I have to imagine that just licking a regular rock won't cause a lot of harm. Maybe it's a sign of like iron deficiency. I don't know. But licking a lot of salt will definitely dehydrate them and cause them harm. So be wary. But also, cats are just mischievous in general. Cats like to get into your shit. My cat certainly liked to get into my shit back when I still lived with my parents. So be wary of your cats if you are a witch, is basically the moral of the story. Next, I want to talk about food. Who doesn't like food? Everyone eats food, everyone uses food, and it is very easy to use food in your craft, specifically with spices and kitchen witchcraft. Ooh, we got 2 messages. Let's see what these are.
Witchcraft and pets just doesn't mix a lot of times. We need like a separate podcast on pet witchcraft precautions.
I unfortunately do not trying to call me. I'm podcasting, Kenny. Someone message him on TikTok and tell him to quit calling me. Or you know what? I can come out of this and still talk and text him. I'm podcasting. Can't talk right now. Send. Okay. Anyway. Let's see. Yeah, I don't have a pet right now, unfortunately. I would love to have one eventually. But I've seen lots of TikToks where, yeah, people's like dogs or cats will get into their witchy shit or knock over their crystals or whatever. I've seen a woman whose cat will get up on her altar and like practically help her with the spells. So, um, yeah, maybe one day I'll get a pet and I'll be able to do a proper show about that.
There are some crystals that cannot be dissolved whatsoever because they are poisonous, like malachite. So I would always, research what properties your crystals have when buying them.
Yeah, it's probably a good rule of thumb is that if it can't go in water, your pet probably shouldn't be licking it. Or if it's salt, your pet probably shouldn't be licking it. So keep them on high shelves or, just away from the fur babies. But as I said, our next topic is food and kitchen witchcraft. Now, there are some people who take kitchen witchcraft really seriously, who are really into it. I am in college. I live off of a Dollar Tree. So, I am by no means an expert kitchen witch, but I do know enough about it to know that it can absolutely be incorporated into your everyday life. And if you are in the broom closet, it can be as well. So it does take some research. You have to understand the correspondences of certain spices and certain foods. What are their metaphysical powers? What can they do for your body and your mind and your spirit? It's important to research those things, but a lot of those you can find witchy cookbooks online or in witchy Barnes and Nobles or just general witchcraft books talking about certain spices. And so if you want to make a prosperity brew, quote unquote, that could just be apple cider with a little bit of cinnamon, and you drink it and you're manifesting prosperity in your head and no one even has to know that that's what you're doing.
Don't worry, I'm in college right now too. My diet is completely messed up.
Before I was on here, I was eating edible cookie dough. Um, I don't know if there's any metaphysical properties to that other than it could be used as a sweetener, I suppose. But there's lots of ways that you can do that kind of thing discreetly. One of my favorite ways is through tea. You can make a million different kinds of tea and just look up the properties like, okay, I want to drink some chamomile tea. What are the properties of chamomile? I want to drink some rose tea. What are the properties of rose? And things like that you can incorporate into your life. If you drink coffee, coffee is great for prosperity and bringing your can't talk, your manifestations and intentions to you quickly. Coffee represents speed. So you could say a prayer or a devotion or an affirmation either out loud or to yourself or in your head for your intentions and ask the universe or your deities to bring it to you quickly, and then drink your coffee. Boom, you just did a spell right there with your coffee in the morning and no one even has to know. Very, very simple, very, very easy. And yeah, if you're in the broom closet and you're just doing this stuff in your head, absolutely no one is going to know. It's an amazing way to discreetly do practice.
And do you know, if you're into herbs and such and you're only on a budget, it might be worth it to look up local, like go on YouTube and find a botany channel, to identify local plants. I know cities are generally not seen as clean and such, but just so you're able to walk around and identify things. You don't necessarily have to eat them, but there could be loads of edible stuff nearby. If you find like a botany channel and the person sounds regional, a lot of plants are the same everywhere in the world though, but it's just worth looking into.
Yeah, looking into like YouTube channels for plant identifications in your area, or there's lots of plant identification apps that you can look into. Or, and this is something that my city currently has where I'm going to school, see if your town has a community garden of any kind that, your entire town is allowed to utilize. There's a park in the town where I go to school right now, and there's this teeny tiny little garden. It's probably like 6 by 6, like it's really small, but it's a community garden, and it has little labels like there's lavender here, and there's thyme here, and there's garden sage here, and there's rosemary here. Like, so it's labeled, and you can pick and utilize it to your heart's content. So that's a great idea. See if there's any good like botany YouTube channels to help you identify plants outside. See if there's a community garden near you. And that's, you could always just say, oh, I'm just into gardening. It doesn't have anything to do with witchcraft. What are you talking about? I just like to garden. I just like plants. I just like botany. No one even has to know a thing. Um, if you work in an office, you could have a plant in your office. No one's going to question that. You just have a plant in your office because you like plants. Um, but you can research the intent behind it and be like, okay, what can I use this for? Or plants in your bedroom, plants in your house, plants in your dorm. My boyfriend and I have house plants at his apartment, and I definitely have researched their intents. I talk to them. We've named them. They are our children. But you can definitely use the intents with those things too. So kitchen witchcraft is a great way to subtly do witchcraft. And like I said, if you drink tea at work, during your lunch break, you can just kind of manifest like, okay, this tea is going to give me motivation. This tea is going to give me focus. This tea is going to give me energy to get through the rest of the freaking day. I can go home. That is what I do at school anyways. And you can do this with lots of other things too. It doesn't even always have to be inherently witchy. Sometimes I'll be drinking a monster at campus, and I'll just be like, give me energy, give me motivation. The senioritis is hitting hard. I need everything that you can give me.
If you're in a religious household, you could always say that you're just admiring God's work and all the stuff he put on the earth.
Mm-hmm. God made all the plants. Why should we not admire them? I just want to have a flower in my room. Like, it's a work of God's art. Should I not be taking care of it? God called the humans to tend to the plants and animals. I'm doing God's work by having lavender in my bedroom. Okay. Um, so yeah, there's lots of ways that you can get around that. But like I said, even if you can't, have your own plants, you can go to Dollar Tree and get spices and do a quick Google search of the metaphysical properties of those spices, and boom, you can practice kitchen witchcraft by putting cinnamon in your tea or in your hot apple cider, or by drinking coffee in the morning. So much of this stuff can be done with household items and just by, doing it in your head. It doesn't have to be anything too extravagant. So the next thing that I want to talk about is candles. So, shameless self promotion, I sell deity candles on my shop that are custom made to your deity or entity that you work with or worship. However, I understand that that is not something that everyone is able to do if you are in the broom closet, if you're on a budget, whatever the case may be. So the thing is, you can absolutely buy a scented candle from Walmart or from Yankee Candle and dedicate it to a deity. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It doesn't have to be anything special. You can 100% get a cinnamon bun scented candle from Yankee Candle and dedicate it to Loki, and no one has to know. I just wanted this candle because it smells like cinnamon buns. It smells great. Look, Mom, this candles smell nice, and your mom will smell it and be like, oh, yeah, that smells great. And she doesn't have to know a thing. It's great. Um, you can absolutely use quote unquote regular normal candles in your practice. They can be scented, they can be unscented. It does not matter. Um, if you want to add witchy stuff to it, you can add herbs or crystals, safely. Be careful in doing so. Something that I see people do a lot is take, a little knife or a toothpick or whatever and carve sigils or symbols into the wax of the candle so that it just kind of sets that intent as it burns. Um, but you don't have to do that, like I said, especially if you're in the broom closet. You can just buy a candle and, in your head to yourself, dedicate it to a deity or a certain intent or, green candle, and have that be your money candle. But no one has to know that that's your money candle. I just bought this because it smells like eucalyptus. It smells nice. It's refreshing. I don't know what you're talking about. But really, it's your money candle. Um, I feel like there's a lot of witch talk perpetuating, like, you have to use this specific tool. No, you don't. No, you don't. You can absolutely use regular Dollar Tree candles, Walmart candles, whatever you want for your spell work. Like I said, especially if you are in the broom closet, that might be your best option for you. Um, so get a candle, decide what entity or intention you're going to dedicate it to, and just kind of have that deity or entity or intention in mind whenever you light it. And it can be as simple as that. It doesn't have to be this super huge, complex ritual. And yes, Loki does like cinnamon bun scented items, which is where that came from. And I've seen lots of people on TikTok do this, and it is perfectly fine to do that. I had lots of Bath and Body Works candles in my bedroom for certain intentions when I was in the broom closet, and they were none the wiser for a minute, and then I got caught. But you won't get caught. Just be smarter than me. Um, yeah, but candles are, everyone has candles. Everyone likes candles. So, if you are allowed to have candles in whatever space you are residing in or working in, um, that is another great thing that you can do in terms of practical witchcraft. Now, the last thing that I have on my outline, but please feel free to send in more questions and suggestions if you have any, is jewelry. So, if you are familiar with witch talk, perhaps you've probably come across the witch talker known as Chaotic Witch Aunt. Frankie also has a YouTube channel where they posted a video about how to enchant your jewelry. I would definitely recommend watching that YouTube video, because you can take any regular jewelry item. It doesn't have to be inherently witchy. It could be your Bible verse necklace, and you can turn it into something witchy. It doesn't have to be anything that looks witchy or is outwardly witchy, but you can enchant it with certain intents or dedicate it to a certain deity, and no one has to know anything about it. So yeah, go to YouTube, type in Chaotic Witch Aunt enchanting jewelry, and you will find that tutorial. That is a really great video um, on that subject, and I think is something that especially people in the broom closet should learn how to do, because it's just another way to keep your craft with you and close to you at all times, as often as humanly possible. Now, if you come from a bit more of an open minded family, or you just know that you get away with some more things, there's obviously crystal jewelry, there's crystal necklaces, there's crystal earrings and bracelets, and all kinds of things. People wear their birthstones. Um, So that can be something that you can do. You can wear a necklace with a certain crystal and then start looking into the metaphysical properties of that crystal and just kind of have that intent in mind whenever you wear it. And it can be silent to yourself in your head, but you can wear that to school or to work or, wherever it is that you're going with it. And boom, you're doing witchcraft. It doesn't have to be too terribly difficult. Another thing that I love is lockets. Locket jewelry is a great thing that you can use in witchcraft because there's so many things that you can put into lockets. You can have a little piece of paper with an affirmation written on it, or a sigil, or a spell, or an incantation, on that piece of paper, and put it in your locket. And you can carry that with you all day, and no one has to know what's in your locket. I doubt most people would ask you to open your locket and show them what's inside. So that's a great way to have your craft with you in your normal everyday life and not have anyone be suspicious. So that was a mouthful. So that was all that I had in my notes. But please send in more questions and more suggestions if you have them. I'm here all night if you guys want me to be. But in the meantime, I will talk about what we will be discussing next week. I actually want to check what podcast topic won the poll. So if you subscribe to my Patreon, you will be able to vote on podcast topics in the future. I just checked the poll. And next week, we will be talking about the Nag Hammadi Library. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Nag Hammadi Library is basically missing pieces of the Bible or sacred ancient texts that were not included in the Bible that were discovered in the mid 20th century in Nag Hammadi, Egypt. And it is a very important text, especially to the Gnostic religion and to just to Christianity in general. I think a lot of people choose to ignore it, and we will talk about why people choose to ignore it. But we will also discuss some of the controversial things that the Nag Hammadi Library has to say, such as Jesus being queer, Jesus being married to Mary Magdalene and having children with her, and the Holy Spirit being a goddess named Sophia, who is a goddess that I have worshipped and worshiped on and off throughout the entirety of my craft. It was a very close poll this time, but y'all voted, and the Nag Hammadi Library won. So, like I said, that's what next week's podcast topic is going to be. And if you would like to be able to vote for podcast topics in the future, make sure that you subscribe to my Patreon, which can be found in the link in my TikTok bio. Make sure that you are following me on all the other social media platforms. I am on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter under Spirituality, spelled TEA. It's a pun. It's hilarious, I think, anyway. I have my shop. I have my bone throws. I'm working on catching up on those. But we'll get there. We'll get caught up. Knock on wood, my pain is starting to go away, so hopefully tomorrow I will feel better. Now I've jinxed it, right? Let's see. Oh, you know what? I just thought of another thing that you can do with practical witchcraft, and that is cleaning. Cleaning. Cleaning your house. You can, do a pentagram with the Windex on your windows and then wipe it off, Or with your Clorox wipes while you're cleaning your counter, draw a pentagram and then wipe your counter, There's a million things that you can do. Put Florida water in your cleaning solutions. You can do that at work, you can do that at home. There's so many different things that you can do, and use your intent, use your mind. I am cleansing not only in a literal sense, cleaning away germs and bacteria and whatever, but I'm also cleansing this space of negativity and, a fresh slate, a fresh canvas for me to live my life, and then I'm inviting fresh energies into this space. That's another great way to incorporate practical witchcraft into your life. I know that was totally a side tangent, but it kind of just came to me as I was talking, and I'm like, oh shit, I should include that. Let me think. Yeah, I know that this was kind of a shorter show, but I figured that Practical Witchcraft would be a shorter show because even though there's so much to talk about, it's easy for me at least to talk about. And maybe that's just because I've been doing this for a while now, so I think know how to talk about it. But as always, if you guys ever have any questions, if if I end the show and you're like, crap, I had a question and I didn't think to ask it, feel free to reach out to me on social media. I like to think that I'm pretty good at responding to people when it comes to that kind of stuff. Next week, we will be talking about the Nog Comedy Library, as I said, and also keep an eye out on my TikTok because I will be doing some guest appearances on some other people's podcasts. I think I have 3 podcasts in the next month and a half that I'm doing guest appearances on, and I will keep the internet posted on those as well. Do I have any other announcements? I don't think so. So, thank you guys so much for listening. Like I said, if you think of a question later, reach out to me. And I will see you guys next week for a probably longer show on the Nog Comedy Library. Bye.